Good afternoon. Welcome back. It is Saturday, April 1st, 2023. We have a few birthdays to get to here in just a minute, but we do have a few events. Probably the biggest event on this day in 1979 at Bristol Motor Speedway, Dale Earnhardt wins his first Cup Series race, and I believe what was his 16th career start. So that was a big thing back then because a lot of rookies and younger drivers didn't win during this era. Most of your winners were in their late 30s and early 40s and were established veterans of the sport. On this date, also in 1990, poor handwriting on my part, 1990, Dale Earnhardt won at Darlington. The significance of this race, it was the race that essentially ended the career of Neil Bonnet. In that big crash, it was started by Ernie Irvan and Ken Schrader. Neil would run two more Cup races after this, one a legitimate race attempt in 1993 at Talladega that ended in a crash, and the season finale in Atlanta, which was in a start and park effort for RCR, just in case Earnhardt's car didn't fire up. Plus, by Bonnet parking, it padded the points at the back of the field in case Earnhardt fell out early. So those were two big events. Two more events 2000 on this date in the Busch Series race at Texas Motor Speedway. Mark Martin won in what is the case of probably the last race that wasn't televised in the big three divisions in NASCAR. I know those videos pop up every once in a while, like the missing footage and all this, and there's some highlights here and there, but it was never telecast to my knowledge and to a lot of other people's knowledge. And then our final event on 2012, Ryan Newman won the Cup race at Martinsville, the last Cup race held on this date. Of course, that was the finish where Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon all stacked it up going in turn one. And, of course, this was the best finish for Allmendinger in a Penske car at the Cup level before his untimely release as well. So on to our birthdays. We have a plethora of cardless birthdays. We'll start off with modified legend Ray Hendrick, born on this date in 1929. Legendary mechanic Herb Nabb, born on this date in 1927. Alex Palou, current IndyCar star, born on this date in 1997. Former NASCAR Truck Series Daytona winner John King, born on this date in 1988. And Ruben Garcia, born on this date in 1946. Many of you might not know the name Ruben Garcia. He was a Winston West driver back in the 70s and 80s, and if you go back and watch the final race at Riverside in 1988, he did bring out the final red flag ever at Riverside. I think they didn't go under red flag. They were going to, but they didn't. But watch that crash. It's a very scary crash that could have ended a lot worse than what it did. So anyway, on to our birthdays for today. We have a team owner formerly in the Busch Series and Cup Series. He has sadly passed away since then, but he ran in the late 80s, early 90s in the Busch Series, moved up to the Cup Series in 1994 and 95 before having to liquidate his team at the end of 95. Mr. A.G. Dillard, here's his Busch car that was run by both Elton Sawyer and later Ward Burton. Ward won the race at Rockingham for his first career win, but A.G. Dillard is the father-in-law of Rick Mast, and Rick won races for him back in the late 80s. And here's a picture of A.G. Dillard, Alan Dillard, with his Hardee's uniform on. Of course, they were sponsored by the fast food giant. I don't have a date on this one. I did look. I couldn't find one, but born on this date, wife of former Cup Series driver Ernie Irvan, Mrs. Kim Irvan. This is part of the 96 action-packed credential Behind the Scenes. And then our final driver, born on this date in 1976, father of current Cup Series driver Todd Gilliland, David Gilliland. So he did have a couple of cards with the M&M sponsor when he moved to Yates from the Busch Series after that surprise win at Kentucky. And then here's the freecreditreport.com that he carried when he was with Yates after M&M's left. And then he's just kind of got an amalgamation of sponsors here during his time at Front Row Motorsports. Of course, Long John Silver's team owner Bob Jenkins has Long John Silver's and Taco Bell's and the A&W places. So he just kind of puts that livery on the car at times. Not sure if it actually has any corporate sponsorship. But you just see all the different sponsors that Gilliland has hosted over the years at Front Row, and it's no different today. They patchwork sponsorships together, make it work. David had 4 career top 5 finishes, 8 career top 10s, a couple pulls. But other than that, very quiet career. And there's one of the last cards that I've got of David with that. I really like the Front Row design on their logo. You know, they're a team that, yeah, they've won, 3 races? One with David Reagan, one with Chris Buescher, and one with Michael McDowell. And they're just, on the brink of just being a really, really, top second-tier team. And I think a few more years, they could get there with some good luck. But David was a very serviceable driver, never made a lot of mistakes unless Tony Stewart was around, and he was all over the track then. But David seemed to keep his nose clean for the most part, made it a couple times down at the track, and was always very fan-friendly. So happy birthday to all those folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I enjoy doing this series. It kind of forces me to get into my packs, get into my boxes, kind of look around, see what I've got, and go down that memory lane a little bit. Well, anyway, thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we will see you tomorrow.